What does it mean to have your moon in the sign of Pisces and in the 10th house in your chart? Find out now by watching today's video. Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Isabel, your spiritual rebel friend, and today we're talking about what it means to have your moon in Pisces and in the 10th house in your chart. Because already knowing your moon sign in and of itself tells you so much and can be so impactful because it tells you what your emotional needs and patterns are. However, understanding that house that moon sign is in is going to tell you where these patterns show up and how you get these needs fulfilled. And I see so many people who think they understand their moon sign yet are finding themselves feeling unfulfilled because they're not taking the house into account. So in today's video specifically, I'm going to cover the moon in Pisces, the moon in 10th house, what it means to have the moon in Pisces and in the 10th house, and how this Pisces moon in 10th house will show up in love, career, finances, and finally, to wrap up today's video, I want to talk a bit about some more practical guidance on what you should do or take away from today's video. So if you're someone who not only likes to research astrology, but wants to know how to use it as a tool to live the life you love, watch through to the end of this video where we will also talk about more of my offerings if you like today's video. But without further ado, let's get into the moon in Pisces in 10th house. First off, starting off with what is the moon in Pisces? 90% of my clients end up being people with moon in Pisces in their chart. And so I would like to think I understand this placement pretty well. But to try to briefly summarize this placement, the moon in Pisces is an empathetic, gentle soul who wants to feel deeply connected and harmonious to the world around them. These people oftentimes get stereotyped as people who are too sensitive for the world and care a bit too much because the moon in Pisces has such a deep sense of innate empathy that they don't see why anyone would do anything wrong. Additionally, the moon in Pisces is someone who tends to get a bit lost in the clouds. These are people who are a bit of daydreamers and they move through life on the basis of fulfilling that sense of harmony. This doesn't mean that there's no practical side to a moon in Pisces. This doesn't mean that they're never pragmatic or goal-oriented people, but it means that with their moon in Pisces, their deepest emotional desire is harmony and bliss. So at the end of the day, no matter what they succeed at, what they achieve, what they do, they want to just know that they're in harmony with those who are most important to them and can feel that sense of ease. The moon in Pisces is a very strong placement because these people so deeply feel energies, which not only makes them empathetic to other people, but it may also make it hard for them to handle reality. And so oftentimes the moon in Pisces is much happier when they have less on their plate in life so that they can navigate smaller challenges and focus more on giving their best to others in a more simplistic setting. So the stereotype is with the moon in Pisces, these people may tend to get easily overwhelmed by information or by life. They prefer to live things in a more simplistic way. And these people oftentimes can feel best when they're surrounded in more simplistic settings, such as smaller towns or being in nature. Again, just a bit of stereotypes that may resonate for you as a moon in Pisces. And finally, the last thing I will touch on with a moon in Pisces, regardless of the house it's in, is that one of the key major struggles for these people, because of their strong sense of unconditional love and empathy that they want to give to all, is that they may struggle with setting boundaries. That is the key trait of a moon in Pisces, is that they may feel oftentimes boundaryless and they may have to identify where they draw lines because naturally they have this more energetically emotional, fluid nature that merges with the people they are closest to. And so learning to self-identify, self-isolate, and set boundaries for themselves is one of their key growth challenges in their lifetime. Those who have their moon in the 10th house of career and profession are emotionally fulfilled in their career. The moon in 10th house indicates that their emotional fulfillment in life mainly comes through their career, through having a profession. These people aren't satisfied by living just a simple life or having a simple job. These people need to feel that they have authority and that they're doing what they're absolutely best at. So simply put, a moon in 10th house needs to feel that they have a profession and a career path, or else they find themselves feeling lacking in fulfillment. On top of that, I would add as a subtle final note to this interpretation, I've met so many moon in 10th houses who have found that they are more fulfilled by maintaining a career rather than going through stereotypical retirement. So what does it mean to have your moon in Pisces and in the 10th house? Again, moon in Pisces, just as we get with any water moon, Oftentimes we focus a bit too much on the interpretation that this plays out in relationships, because all water energy deals a lot with emotional connections to other people. Think of the cups in tarot, how the cups represent emotions and yet also connections, but it's not specifically always just connections, depending on the interpretation. And so with the moon in Pisces, yes, they seek to feel in harmony with those around them, and this can play out through friend dynamics, family dynamics, relationship dynamics. But when it's in the 10th house, the moon in Pisces seeks to feel a sense of harmony and bliss in the workspace with what they do. One interpretation for this I've additionally noticed, as I have 2 clients actually who have a moon in Pisces in the 10th house, is that these people crave to feel a sense of authority and recognition for their unconditional love, empathy, and compassion. These are the people who are looking out for everyone, and they want to be seen for that. They also have such high ideals for how the world should be and could be, because they themselves feel they can embrace that they want that to be recognized. These people, simply put, have a very soft spirit, and they deep down crave a sense of recognition for that. Additionally, they prefer to be in career roles where they get to play to this strength. Oftentimes I hear a common storyline where moon in Pisces in the 10th house ends up in a career where they have to be cold, blunt, and practical. And though they may be able to reach into that based off of the rest of their chart, the moon in Pisces can find themselves feeling extremely drained, depleted, defeated, and potentially even experiencing health-related issues because they're not working in the field that matters most to them. Those who have a moon in Pisces in the 10th house means they gain emotional fulfillment through getting to embrace a non-linear, fluid, accepting, unconditionally loving attitude towards others and towards life itself. And when it's in the 10th house, they want to embrace this in their profession when it comes to their career, and this can actually lead to them achieving their greatest success and owning their greatest authority. Also, bear with me, guys, I'm having a bit of a sore throat today, so we're trying to work through it while we're filming here. Again, simply put, as I'm sure I've already mentioned in my moon in 10th house segment, that the moon in 10th house wants to be recognized for their ability to emotionally connect with other people. Bringing their heart into their career and their care into their career is a theme for those who have a moon in Pisces or a moon in 10th house, and accentuated for those who have a moon in Pisces, because the moon in Pisces thrives on connecting with other people and bringing greater sense of unconditional love and acceptance and being surrounded by people who embrace that. This is a further emphasized theme for them in their career. They want to be able to nurture and care for others and bring an aura of acceptance. Acceptance is the biggest word that comes to mind for me when thinking of a moon in Pisces in the 10th house. For some moon in Pisces as well, this can err on the more idealistic and creative side. For example, I once had a client who had a moon in Pisces in 10th house, and for her, this was more about sharing her personal ideals that she has learned in her self-discovery journey. Now, on the other hand, for another client of mine who has a moon in Pisces in 10th house, this is more for her about, let me bring unconditional love to this business that I already work in. So it could play out in more of a, this is my ideal, this is my creative expression, more of an expressive, artistic way. Or this can play out in more of a sympathetic, empathetic, compassionate, caretaker way. When it comes to love for the moon in Pisces in 10th house, just as we find for any moon in 10th house, there may be a love for authority in the love life. A moon in 10th house feels the most emotionally fulfilled when they're getting to be recognized for their authority, recognized for their talents, and being, so to say, what we would call on a pedestal. They feel strong and fulfilled in a role of authority. And so when it comes to love for a moon in 10th house, in this case the moon in Pisces, they do want to feel oftentimes like an authority in their love life. Now, this doesn't mean stereotypical domineering or anything like that, especially those who are women and want more of a masculine counterpart. But with the moon in Pisces in 10th house, when it comes to love, they may feel like they feel more loved when they are seen as an authority and recognized for their unconditional love, innate compassion, and gentle side. They want to be spotlighted for their empathy, sympathy, compassion, unconditional love, creativity, and spirituality, and oftentimes may move through their relationships in a way that leans into that. Meaning that though the moon in Pisces is stereotyped as someone who's boundaryless in love, the helpful side of having this in the 10th house is that it gives them a bit more of a backbone, and they may try to be an authority in their love life by, so to say, upholding the higher ideal, upholding the higher unconditional love. Honestly, how I personally see a bit of this Moon in Pisces 10th house energy reminds me a bit of the Enneagram 1, if you're familiar with it, where they have a high moral standard that they bring to love and to the career, and they almost sometimes feel weighed down by this moral standard that they feel they are only upholding. And so in the negative expression, when it comes to love, the Moon in Pisces in 10th house may have a tendency to tell themselves this story that they're the only ones upholding this higher standard and they must self-sacrifice in love. Oftentimes the Moon in Pisces gives and has no boundaries unconsciously, but in this placement in the 10th house, this is a bit more conscious. It just may feel like a burden still, because self-sacrificing, of course, is a burden for our souls. So in the positive, the Moon in Pisces wants a relationship in the 10th house where they feel they are recognized and gaining a sense of strength or authority for being seen for their unconditional love, spirituality, compassion, etc. Additionally, as we find with any moon in the 10th house, they may enjoy a relationship a bit more where it's more independent and focused on achieving success together. It's the success in love, love and success, so to say, story here. And so the Moon in Pisces in 10th house has so much desire to be an authority in the world for their empathy and care and love that they may want someone who has a similar mission, a similar ideal. It's really, I think, also the final note I will make for the Moon in Pisces in the 10th house in love is the Moon in Pisces does strongly feel energies. And so for one thing that we'll talk about in the career is that also translates over to love life is being surrounded by high vibrational people is going to be very important for a moon in Pisces in the 10th house. When it comes to love, they need to feel like they're surrounded by people who share the same wavelength of peace and bliss with them. And how this may play out in career is that it's very important for a moon in Pisces not only to be recognized in the 10th house in their career for their own empathy and compassion, but they want to be surrounded by people who share the same vibration. The Moon in Pisces, as I call it, though it's going to sound harsh, has a bit of a leeching energy where they pull from other people. And this is because the Moon in Pisces means that the emotions of the Moon in Pisces have no boundary between the emotions of the other. And so it's important for the Moon in Pisces in the career to be surrounded by people who hold a positive energy. I notice with my clients that the biggest disruptor in their lives who have this placement are when they are surrounded by negative energy people. Some people find it easier to create a boundary and isolate and push away negative energies or even transmute negative energies, whereas the Moon in Pisces feels very susceptible, like a sponge to these energies. So for the Moon in Pisces in the 10th house specifically, it is essential for these people to either create boundaries between themselves and their work environment so they don't feel bogged down by the negative energies of their coworkers or their boss or the system itself. Or they need to work on a team where they feel that other people share the same level of energetic harmony and level of compassion. These people really struggle to be in fields where they're required to be cold or are surrounded by cold people. So when it comes to the career, the Moon in Pisces wants to be caring, giving, and empathetic. They want to also be valued for that in the sense of they ideally want a career where they just get to show up and say, how can I be as caring as possible, less linear of a basis. But additionally, they may need to create more boundaries for themselves, specifically in the career. As we find with any Moon in 10th house, the career is the most important area for you to cultivate. And for the Moon in Pisces, this is about bringing as much bliss, harmony, and peace here and ability to flow as possible. When it comes to finances specifically, the Moon in Pisces tends to spend in a way that focuses on ideals, and they will also spend more likely on harmony and bliss. Our moon sign honestly tells us a lot about our spending habits in general. And the habit for a Moon in Pisces is let me spend on bliss, or let me spend when things feel easy. Let me spend on my ease, because that's the core desire of a Moon in Pisces. And so they're going to absolutely feel like that is their way they would rather spend their money. When it comes to the Moon in Pisces, in particular in the 10th house though, they may find that they are easily I would guess what I've noticed, self-sacrificing financially in the career for the sake of harmony. So the pattern I notice oftentimes for those who have a moon in Pisces in the 10th house is in the career, they may not advocate for their financial needs as much as they wish they could, because they will put that on a less of a priority over instead prioritizing peace in the workplace, harmony in the workplace. These people oftentimes can have skill sets that they underrate because they're going to do what feels easy and harmonious for their environment around them. In the positive, the way this can be twisted is that the moon in Pisces can play to their strength of energy in embracing their harmony, their bliss, their peace, with a sense of recognition of themselves and authority to attract the wealth that comes through what they bring rather than the amount of hours that they work. It very much reminds me of projector energy in the human design. So if you're watching this video and thinking, yes, this resonates as a moon in Pisces in the 10th house, I feel like these are things I need, crave, and struggle with in my career and in love life and so much more, I want to wrap up today's video talking about some practical application tips, especially because for those who have a moon in Pisces or moon in 10th house, my top thing that I say is that your career is the most important part of your life. Having a fulfilling career that plays to your unique talents is going to be essential to living a life you love. But not all of us can go quit our job tomorrow and go start our dream job. So how can you start practically applying this to your life? For one, the top thing that comes to mind that I'd recommend for a Pisces moon in the 10th house is identify how you currently feel in your career. Oftentimes, a lot more is going on for a moon in Pisces for emotional triggers than they even identify. And this usually shows up in more energetic ways for them, or in physical manifestations, such as, gosh, I just can't sleep at night, or I feel like my body's experiencing a health issue, or my car just randomly broke down on me, so I can't get to work. I don't know what's happening. Oftentimes, the Pisces moon has so much going on emotionally, energetically from what they're absorbing that they don't even consciously realize, and it's not until it manifests itself in the physical reality that they notice. So Pisces moon in 10th house, I invite you to take stock of how you feel in your current line of work, whether that's more of a profession and career or a job or service that you do, and ask yourself, how could I bring 2% more harmony to myself here? Maybe that's one thing I notice is very powerful oftentimes for a moon in Pisces is having a diffusing process, meaning when you get home from work, take an extra minute, sit in your car, put on a song, and take those 3 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever it is, to process what went on in your day and set a new intention for the rest of your day. Don't let your pressures of your career affect the presence of your now, so to say. Don't let your career ruin the rest of your day if it's heavy for you. Additionally, just practicing creating this separation, just as we called it, or this wringing out process, because the moon in Pisces is like a sponge, you need to wring out that sponge to get rid of what is no longer serving you and let yourself be fresh and new. So how can you wring yourself out? Through your work and bring more positive energy here. Maybe this is something you can additionally play into. Taking it a step further is, how can I not only release the negative, but promote the positive? Oftentimes, the moon in Pisces in the 10th house has high ideals for how people should be in the career, in the workplace, and how they should embrace authority. You have an authority for your empathy, your care, your consideration. How can you be a model for that? Oftentimes, I think a moon in Pisces in 10th house feels like, well, no one's going to appreciate it anyway, so I might as well just be bitter and hide this part of myself. How can you promote positivity here? Maybe this is small words of appreciation. Maybe this is being more forgiving when someone doesn't meet a deadline. Maybe this is highlighting someone else's key strengths or something that they did of some kind. Maybe this is being a listening ear. Finding the right amount is going to be dependent on how much you already give to your workplace, but can be something that brings more Piscean energy to your career. And then in the long run, thinking about what your unique talents are and how you ideally want this moon in Pisces to show up is essential for your life fulfillment. How do you see modeling this? How do you see being an authority for your moon in Pisces? Is it being a teacher, a guide, a healer? Is it working at a coffee shop? Is it starting a business? Whatever it is, identifying that and living in alignment with it is key for your life fulfillment. And that is all I have for you on the moon in Pisces in the 10th house for today. I would love to hear down in the comments below if this video resonated for you and what else you do to align to this energy that you would recommend to the fellow moon in Pisces out there who may be watching this video and looking for further guidance. As I recommend for all my moon in 10th houses, because your career is so pivotal to your life fulfillment, I invite you to book a career reading down below if you want help finding, aligning, and manifesting to your ideal career path based off of your unique talents, purpose, and life story. You can learn more about readings down in the description box below. They can be 30 minutes or 1 hour long. Again, let me know down in the comments below if this video resonated for you. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Stay tuned for more videos breaking down the stars and more. And final note, if you like today's video and you like the practical application, then I invite you to join my free newsletter where I tell you and teach you more about how to align to your astrological birth chart and transits in practical, digestible ways. So if you're looking for small practical application for your chart for astrology, please join my newsletter down below. It's free and you also get exclusive access to exclusive offers and deals. Learn more about the newsletter down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I sincerely hope you enjoyed. Once again, my name is Isabel, and from my heart to yours, namaste.